Welcome to Fist TV Plus on FTSA. I'm your host, Sammy, aka Acting Sammy and X. As always, my co-host, the controversial Eddie Chappell. Eddie, welcome back to Fist TV Plus on FTSN.
Good to see you. Not after Monday night, but still good to see you.
Yeah, boy. You know, I said so many times before, I said it to Vistanza and to Bobby, I said, if the Dolphins were 8-4, and they had that game Monday night, you will see this is another late season collapse. They're gonna lose in Pittsburgh. So but you know what happened, right? The Dolphins collapsed without basically having the lead. They did what they always do in cold weather. I agree with you because you told me it's not about the cold weather, but that late season happens every single year. So before we talk about anything else, we work on our presentation. We asked Bobby Finstoff from the Finstoff Sports Network. I want to know your thoughts about the game it was against the Steelers.
Pathetic.
Yeah, for sure.
Didn't show up again in a big moment. I don't really think the weather bothered them and had nothing to do with it. I think the defense hung in. I mean, they only gave up 7 points before at the half, and that was because we kicked a field goal, and then the kicker couldn't. He kicks a 54-yard field goal and then can't kick it to the 20-yard line. And we gave them the ball at 40, and then the momentum just completely switched. And then, of course, they went down the field with help of some penalties, and they scored a touchdown. And then we threw an interception, of course, we as in Tua, because he can never say I, so we can just say, he just says we all the time. We made mistakes, not I.
Yeah.
Never.
We're going to think about that in a bit, but you can really represent, right. Yes.
Sorry. But that just steamrolled from there, went downhill.
Yeah, my sense was that the Dolphins. If I was a Pittsburgh fan after that, first 3 drives, I'm feeling like, man, we're letting the Dolphins hang around.
Yeah,
the Dolphins are still there, and we should be, leading even after the interception. The Dolphins should have been basically toast, but they will keep hanging around. For me, it was a repeat of the Ravens game. We talked about that before. The defense basically quit or got tired. It's like we got to carry this team. And so they basically said we're out of here because of the second half. They went right down with the drive, and basically after that was game over. What are the thoughts about that? The defense played very well. They played physical. Yes. They were hitting hard. But it was just too much.
I think if they could have sustained some drives and kept the defense off the field, that they wouldn't have ended up scoring 5 straight times or 4 straight times, excuse me. I mean, one of them, they did stop them, but that penalty was BS. I don't care. I guess it's all right for Jonnu Smith to go stand on the sideline and stare at the Dolphins, but Jordan Brooks hits somebody and he stands over him for 2 seconds. It's a penalty. Come on.
Yes. That was really.
Like I said, they couldn't. I understood why he tried to pass some more than normal because they were taking away the run. We were getting our first and second downs. They were going pretty much. He averaged 5 yards a carry, but I think it was a couple where one of them was a 20-yard run. Something like that. They were struggling on the early downs. They were getting beat. The defensive line should have never been pushing our offensive line back like they were. But the rookie 7, can't say his name, Jonah, he really had a really bad game. So I think he tried to go to the quick passing game, and Tua just didn't have it. So they couldn't sustain drives. They couldn't stay on the field to give the defense a break. I mean, 3 straight drives without letting Pittsburgh score, and then finally getting 3 points. The defense did their job. I'm not going to put it on them on the second half. They got tired. They were beat up. For God's sake, every one of them. I mean, Brooks was getting hurt. Rasul Douglas was getting up slow. Sealer got up slow a couple times. They were just worn out physically, probably mentally too.
Absolutely, and we talked so many times about Mike McDaniel basically not having a grip of the gameplay or the game, because they came out swinging. They came out throwing the ball like we're gonna establish the throw. You're gonna have to move those safeties back and those linebackers back, and we're gonna be able to run the ball instead of running the ball to set up the pass. And Tua, started swinging and had some hits, but so many times again the arm strength is not there. That pass to the sideline, that one is intercepted, looked like took forever to be there. It was no, someone stopped in the air. There was a pass to the sideline. It was to the tight end. Yes,
you and I were texting, and we both said right when it left his hand, we were like, "That's gonna be intercepted," because you could just tell it the way it came off his hand, how bad, how slow, and how weak it was.
Yeah, it was weak, and we talked so many times about Tua physically lately more than ever being handicapped, because easy for me, I want to defend my stance to the other day. He's not the player he once was. Dolphins never got Alabama Tua. He was not the perfect quarterback before, and we're going to talk about Tua later, but you can see this game that the arm strength wasn't there, and when the rush is there, what they say about the panic, it happens. It's happening more than ever. He feels the rush and he just cannot move. He becomes a statue, and the pass rush gets to him, and he cannot survive the pass rush. What are your thoughts?
Well, for one thing, what happened to sometimes just throwing the ball away? He doesn't even do that anymore. When he's rolling out to his left and he's taking a sack. You're left-handed. All you have to do when you're out of the pocket is get it past the line of scrimmage and out of bounds. And he's just sitting there taking the sack. He couldn't even run for 3 yards the other night, and with pretty much no one around him. He could have just dove forward, but he didn't. I don't know. Whatever he had, it's gone, and it's getting worse.
Yeah. And, A-Chain play okay. We were worried about, the effects of the rib injury. So he kind of played okay. Ollie Gordon, that stuff that he got in short yardage, that was, when that happened, I said, okay, we're good. Because that was such a momentum swing. You need to establish. If you're really going to establish a run, if you're going to be physical in Pittsburgh in the kind of weather, you need to get those first down. And he was stuffed behind the line of scrimmage. I think it was 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And I said,
yes, he had no shot. I mean, that guy just, he was back there.
Yeah. And my hopes were that, the Dolphins have been doing lately, at least kind of what we expect them to do this kind of year. They were running the balls. They were stopping the run. They were playing physical. The Dolphins play physical. The defense was physical. They kind of ran the ball, but that's what I say. Mike McDaniel basically dropped the ball on this one, because the game plan didn't seem it makes sense. If you win the coin toss, because they've been winning the coin toss, and you are gonna elect to receive, you gotta score, because the Dolphins have to score, because the Dolphins are a completely different team with Mike McDaniel and Tua when they are chasing the points. Because Tua, by now, he's never been the best at it. He did it against the Bills that 1 year. He did it against the Ravens that time. He did it against the Rams one time. He had great games, but he's not the kind of guy that you can say, okay, go about there. We're playing by 14 and you're going to bail us out of the game. That's not going to happen. So when that happened, and they didn't get that score in the first drive, yeah, now you're in trouble. They make a stop. The defense play where they make a stop. I think it was a 3 and out.
Yes.
Okay, you're looking good. You need to score a touchdown. You cannot take field goals. You cannot trade field goals with anyone. And the Dolphins scored a field goal, and they kept scoring touchdowns and scoring touchdowns. So, Mike McDaniel, what are your thoughts on Mike McDaniel? Because I think he, like I said so many times, he reverted back to factory settings because the game plan, it wasn't there. What are your thoughts?
Well, they never had the ball enough to establish a game plan. Some of these passes you call, you have to have the player to be able to complete them. I mean, you can't. Okay, I know they want to establish the run. That's the only way to win for the Dolphins is to establish a run. I don't know what happened to Jalen Wright. They didn't even use him this week. I mean, he played some, but they never gave him the ball. What, a couple times? they gave Jalen Wright the ball. A-Chain made some plays out of nothing. Really, they couldn't do anything. It's what it comes down to. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't pass the ball. I'm glad they found Waller at the end of the game. Why Tua wasn't throwing to him earlier in the game, I have no idea. He had to be open sometime. And sometimes you just have to throw the ball, even if your guy is kind of covered, because that guy is a freak, Waller. He's going to catch the ball over a 5 foot whatever corner. But I don't know, McDaniel, they all need to go. Tua, him, whatever GM comes in, I don't know who they're going to get, but they looked so uncoordinated the other day. I don't know what to say about it. It was pitiful.
Steve had it from Fizz TV. He was pissed. He was pissed. And Tua smiling from the sideline says it all. And he was so mad about that. He's smiling. I think Water was smiling too. And the end with Ramsey after he called him his soft ass or something like that he said. And Tua smiling the sideline, trailing basically with Dolphins eliminated. I said that I think the running back coach came out today and said that it's kind of a brotherhood, and after the game, everything's behind.
He was just
of the times. I get that, but
not like that.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
No. First of all, him smiling when they were down, I think it was 28-3 on the sideline after they just went 3 and out again. You know who wasn't smiling? The 2 linemen that were sitting next to him. Brewer, who's probably their second best player on offense behind Achane. And he almost sounded happy they benched him when they asked him about it. I don't know if you heard his quotes, but
I think I saw something. It
almost sounded like he was happy, but he was smiling there. And every from JJ Watt to Pat McAfee said they've never seen anybody stay that long after you just got eliminated from contention for the playoffs, talking to another player while your teammates are in the locker room answering questions.
Yeah, and it's hard because I always, like I said, I know I've been made fun a lot this week, but I always been sincere about Tua. I always acknowledge his limitations. I had so many conversations where you were strict defender saying we should not resign him. He should go into his last year and he should get the franchise tag needed, but he should not be resigned. For me, it was a different story. I thought that his hour was going up. As long as his hour was going up and he was getting better every single year, well, he had a chance. The problem is that after the concussions, I don't know if I don't want to use Adrian's term, but after the concussions, he physically wasn't the same player before the concussions that he was in Alabama, but after the concussions, he was not making the best decisions, was not sliding enough, and then we were deciding so much about you need to slide, you need to preserve yourself, you're being dumb for not protecting yourself, and then he started protecting way too much, and now we're mad at him because he protects himself too much. But sliding before the first down, and when he feels the rush, I think he goes into protect mode. He got kind of panics. He doesn't look down the field anymore. He buffers and he gets the sack. So Tua is not the player for me that he once was. But I think that the Dolphins basically, once Tyreek was out and he didn't have the great weapons, I'm not saying that's the reason why he was mediocre this year, but he was truly helped a lot by the good weapons he was what John Smith last year, Tyreek, of course. But he didn't have these weapons this year and he was exposed. What are your thoughts about that, Eddie?
Well, I don't know. He played 4 games.
You're cutting up a little bit, Eddie. So whatever you say, please say it again. Well, when he comes back, basically, that's the frustration with Tua. He just panics. It's true, he panics. When he sees the rush, he's looking downfield. He's not the tallest guy. So, when that happens and the rush is there, he doesn't look very well over the line anyway. But if the pass rush is there, the pass rush is coming, He wants like he goes like like turtle. He runs back into his shell. He's because there were so many times he was running to the sideline. All you had to do is throw it away, throw it out of bounds. You're outside the pocket. But he
Yes.
kept running and he took the sack. What are your thoughts? It's something. It's mind-boggling to me, Eddie.
I don't know what he's doing. I don't. I'm not there. I don't know if he really cares about football or not. So I can't say he doesn't care about football because that wouldn't be fair. Because I'm not in that locker room. I don't know if he does or doesn't. People can say it from the outside looking in that it looks like he doesn't care. But ever since he got paid, he's not the same player. That's all I can say. And he's making some boneheaded decisions. And they're coming. You can see they're coming. I'm really surprised. Well, they dropped a couple interceptions again. I'm really surprised he didn't have more than one interception.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he never felt comfortable on garbage time when the game didn't matter anymore.
Yeah,
he started making some passes. I don't know why Darren Waller wasn't used more because in that
Me
second half they basically what's the difference? I that's why I don't get over my man. He could have done so much more.
Sometimes you can't blame everything on a play caller. Sometimes it's the quarterback.
That's true.
Tua gets stuck just staring down whoever his first read is, and I really surprised how the Jets don't have any interceptions. Playing Tua twice this year is amazing.
True story. That's true. That went to the bed last night. I took my pillow and I cried a lot last night. Thank you, yes, for being so nice. That's very nice of you. Okay, I want to talk about this. Evan is in the chat saying Bobby did not want me here to glow. Let's be serious, Evan, because you would have given up your right arm convinced that Mike McDaniel will never bench Tua. And I'll tell you what, I was on your side. We are both guilty. But I was kind of surprised Mike McDaniel basically moved on from Tua because I didn't expect them to happen. So what could be the reason? Is he really playing that bad that they know stuff that we don't know? They just said, we have to move on. Or basically they say, no, let's throw away the season. We've seen Ewers and move on. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a lot of things. I think he knows that what he's got with Tua and it's not good enough. Maybe he figures, hey, I can keep my job if I put Ewers out there and he plays well, and Tua with the same guys that Tua had to play with, or maybe that finally was maybe that pissed him off, that thing after the game where he was not there in the locker room. He was out on that field with Jalen Ramsey, who Mike McDaniel probably doesn't hate anybody, but he probably does hate one guy, and I don't blame him because that guy's a piece of crap. And I'm tired about hearing how good he is when he had one sack that my grandmother, who hasn't been with us since 2003, could have got onto a. Come on,
yeah.
I mean, big deal. He can't cover anybody anymore, Jalen Ramsey, but that's a different point. Yeah, it might be stuff like that. He's not a leader. He's not showing that he's a leader. He's not saying the right things. It's always we and not I need to play better. Maybe McDaniel just said, hey, let's see what I can do with this guy.
That's basically, Eddie, I think you're frozen, but that's basically the biggest disappointment. Is the fact that, like you said, when you don't have the physical attributes that others have, I'm not gonna name names, but you know the guys who are very good physical attributes. Let's say that Marino for once. That's not the greatest comparison, but you had the physical attributes. You had to compensate with something. Tua's compensation, of course, was the ability he had to be very accurate. But he never proved to be the kind of leader I expect him to develop into. You have, when you get paid, the money you get paid is your team. It's your team. And
yes.
and I said, and we, of course, there's an iron team. Yes, we had to play better as a team, whatever, but you had to take responsibility. You cannot go and basically say, it's not fair to say the iron teams are in bunches. Yes. Once you throw an interception, if the other team is good, It's gonna come in bunches because he started making mistakes and he
Yeah.
throwing the ball away and making bad decisions, and the shots were there. I would love for him to be a better leader, to be someone who could command respect in the huddle, who basically had the responsibility from other players to say I had to play for him. But this season that never happened. I think this season it started very wrongly with all the thing that he was partying too much and he was not practicing and not taking care of himself, and the infamous picture on the ball with him, I don't know, with a couple of pounds. He gets into training camp and he looks good physically, but he never established that that he had a hunger to play this season. That stigma of him in the boat, not caring, God, show me the money, that he never overcame that. He never overcame that. I think that took its toll on him. Not only the physicality, that we know that the physical tools this season have been, basically not there. It's a plunge physically for Tua, but he could never establish himself as the leader of the team after that show me the money thing. That people are going to remember more Tua. A lot of people, not all the people, but a lot of people are going to remember more Tua for that show me the money clip. That the game against the Ravens he won, the game, all the coming back after the concussions, and basically had a healthy season this year. No one's gonna remember that. A lot of people are gonna remember the show me the money thing, and he failed sadly as a leader of this team, trying to establish himself, making command, and he's a good guy. And what happens with nice guys? Nice guys finish last because nice guys expect respect, and sometimes other badasses demand respect, earn respect, and take respect. And sadly, I think that's what Tua is. What are your thoughts?
First off, I don't give a crap if he's a nice guy or not. I care that he's making $212 freaking million and he's not an elite quarterback. I mean, he's not even a good quarterback at this point. If he was an average quarterback right now, they probably would have a few more wins. Somebody that just took care of the ball, then they'd have a few more wins. Or somebody that can, my God, look at the draft after Tua that year. Take Burrow out, he was number one. But behind him, you had Herbert. And then you had Love. And then you had Jalen Hurts. Any one of them guys can struggle a whole game. And then at the end, still win it with their legs or do something that they need to do. Yeah, there's flaws with all of them, but at least they have an attribute that's good, that they can win a game when they need to, or they can put a team on their back to come back. Tua just can't do that. And then his comments, they're so crazy this year. Like you said, well, I only can do half the things Josh Allen. Then why are you getting paid more than him?
You talked about it before, yes.
I mean, I don't know. It's just so frustrating. And then just to have this, to make all that guaranteed money. And I know they said, okay, McDaniel went to bat for him. Well, as the GM, it's your job to say, I don't care if you're going to bat for him. I'm not giving him this kind of money. But that guy's gone now, thank God. And hopefully they can hit a real reset button and do something right.
We will never know if that was the day that Mike McDaniel basically won the battle over Chris Greer. Because Chris Greer is out. He was the one who resigned him. But we know that the guy who went to back for him is still there. So I think Steven Ross that day made a decision. I'm gonna sign to whatever Mike McDaniel wants. So I think that's I always said that's why Mike McDaniel will not get fired in the season, because I think that's the only head coach that Steven Ross probably ever liked. So the Mr. President is here in the lobby, a special guest. So let's welcome our specialist. I gotta do some magic over here, because now I have to ask Bobby over here, and yes, over here. Yeah, did it, Bobby! Yeah, woo!
You did it.
I did it. I feel so happy about myself. Mr. President, Mr. Bobby Finstock, thank you, for joining us this week, because this week has been rough. So thank you for joining us.
No, man, thank you for having me. I'm sorry I'm late. I just got I literally just got done coaching my son's basketball team practice. Kids driving me crazy, all of them. You know, I'm chasing them around. Parents are watching, judging. It's like, whatever, you go do it. But no, it was a good practice. And then we have a storm, so I was racing, you know, to the car. So wow. I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Appreciate you.
Oh, dude, all good. El Jefe.
I want to start because you all know the story. Like Ric Flair famously said, with a tear in my eye. You know, for me, I'm gonna take anything away. I earned everything, so I always defended Tua. But you know, we had so many conversations about the writers on the wall is when they move from it. So that being established for a couple of weeks now because the physicality is not there. And we just before you joined us, Bobby, we were talking about not only the physical tools, Tua's leadership. I think that's something that is not being stated enough because during this season, and Eddie just hit on it, the press conference way off. You know, the every single week, the we instead of the I, the comment that goes, the cringe comment that goes, boy, man, what are you doing? You know, someone goes to him and say to not to put food in his mouth every single week. Why every single week? And then like I said, nice guys finish last because sometimes nice guys expect respect. They think that they've done enough to earn it, but they don't take respect away. And I think Tua basically fell on that. He wasn't the kind of leader that basically took command of the team, even after the $50 million plus contract. And that's what basically one of the things that I think that Tua, you know, has been failing every single year for the last ever since last year. But this week, laughing in the sideline, my co-host on Fins TV, Steve Hadley, was pissed about that. I've seen so many people mad about that, about, you know, laughing in the sidelines and Ramsey making fun of him. Then he's changing the jersey, everything. I want to start with that before we talk about anything else. Do you think Tua's leadership skills are basically one of the reasons that he's out? He never took control of the team. All that we know, he had very bad play this year, but you know, last year wasn't that bad. So what is awesome? Tua's leadership, basically one of the reasons why he fell as a Dolphins quarterback.
Yeah, especially this season. I think you hit the nail on the head. I was actually talking to someone at my job today, one of the managers who's an roll. You know, I live here in Tennessee, so you got Roll Tide. Alabama's right, not too far off from me. So you got Tennessee Vols, you got Alabama fans. So you know, you got guys who are diehard Tua fans who they follow Miami because of Tua. And he asked me, he's like, man, you guys gonna get rid of Tua this season? He goes, what happened? Like, I told him, look, man, it's just, you know, he goes, he's been good. I said, yeah, he was good. Oh, shut up. No, I'm just playing. And but I said he's been good in the past. Even those who believed in him early on, or you got the two stands, the haters, whatever. You can always say, oh, he's had good games, he had bad games, whether you believe he was franchise or not. But this year has been different. This year, it's not just regressing on the field, but after the game, the post-game press conferences, you know, I mean, just the, you know, always pointing the finger, or seeming like he's pointing the finger, you know, not taking accountability, which is a part of leadership, you know, and calling out his own teammates, saying, you know, guys aren't showing up to meetings, guys are late to meetings, just continually doing things where you're like, a leader doesn't do that. A leader always says it starts with me, you know, and I don't want to, you know, it sounds like we're policing everybody's little thing here, but it's just facts. And, you know, I like JJ Watt said it because I kind of see it that way too. Like, I understand some guys are friends behind the scenes, or they could be friendly, but be friendly in the locker room. After the game and near the car, like, you just got your ass kicked on national TV. You were just eliminated from the playoffs. You've been playing like ass all season. You're leading the league in interceptions. You did not play a great game despite what the stats say, because, you know, yeah, if you didn't watch the game and you look at the side and go, oh, he didn't have a bad game. No, he did. He had a bad game. He's had a bad season. And it's not just because the team is struggling. He's struggling. Yeah, the team is, there's a big issue with the team and the coach. We all know that. I think everybody recognizes it's not a one guy thing. But Tua himself is a big issue right now. And it's not just on field performance, it's off the field. I said, I wrote this tweet and I said, you know, just that picture alone, you know, you see Aaron Brewer and people, oh, Aaron Brewer's cutting a joke. I don't know. I didn't see that. All I see is Aaron Brewer staring off into space. The guy behind him doesn't look too happy, but Tua is laughing it up with 2 minutes remaining on the clock. 15-28, whatever the score was at that point. You're about to get eliminated playoffs. Like, his situational awareness is as bad as his pocket awareness. which is crazy to me. Because even if, maybe you don't really care, but you would think like, yeah, you don't want to be fake, but damn, I better show like I give a damn. I better not, I better sit by myself. And, man, I'm the leader of this football team. I'm the captain, supposedly. And my team played like this. I played like this. I expect a rookie to be laughing where a captain will come up and go, hey, dude, this ain't funny, man. We're down. But you have your quote unquote, your team leader, who I don't really think was the leader in the first place. They was like kind of like a pushed leader situation. That's the one thing where Tua never kind of grasped, in my opinion. On the field, he got so much better when McDaniel came in. They got Tyreek and Jalen, they had Jalen Wild, Raheem Mostert. Like McDaniel, Tua flourished for 2 years, but then it was obvious he totally regressed after the contract. And even for you, who's been I don't want to say diehard, but you've been not just a Dolphins supporter, obviously, but a Tua supporter. You're like, I believe in this kid. And as Dolphin fans, we support him. We want him all to succeed, whether you thought you wanted someone else or not. But even the Tua supporters from early on are saying, no, something has to change. Something has to change. It does. Yeah. But it's not a Tua issue. We're not going to win games. No, you're damn right. We're not. But you can't look at Tua and tell me that guy, we're better off with him. We're not. He's a liability. I mean, every time he throws, unless it's 5-10 yards out, you cringe. You get concerned. That interception, to me, I already knew it was an interception when it came out of his hand. I was like, that's a flying duck. I said, that's INT. And then you saw it, interception.
Everybody felt it, yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think it had very much a big part of why he was benched, not just because of what you saw on the field, but because of what was going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know, I believe, that hasn't been brought to light that played into this decision. Because Tua and McDaniel, Evan would say it all the time. It drove him crazy. They're having sleepovers. They're doing this, they're double dates and everything else, whatever, because they were so close. I mean, McDaniel, when Tua got hurt, kissed him on the cheek, everybody was joking about it. Like, that's how close they were to where they are right now. Something has completely deteriorated, not just on the field because it's obvious, but also behind the scenes. So, like I said yesterday, this was the right call at the right time. It had to happen. And the remaining games is a glorified preseason.
Absolutely. Eddie, like it's like what we said, it's hard to basically, see what's happening on the field, even for a guy like me who supported Tua, and believe in Tua. When you see that the regression physically and in the locker room, in the press conference, and the attitude on the sideline, it comes to a point that it's hard for anyone who wants these kids to succeed to say it comes to a time and say, yeah, I'm done. And I've never said I'm done because Bobby knows I never said I'm done, but I said it has to be. It has to be done soon enough. We debated so many times, Bobby, with Evan about the contract and if it's going to be this year or next year or what's going to happen to the contract. And that's going to be rough because the contract is there and that kind of money, I don't know how they're going to do it. But, Bobby, I don't know what's going to happen next. People are talking for Quinn Ewers, like some people are going the Tua haters, let me put it that way. Including by Ewers, like he's in second coming, I don't know, Peyton Manning or something. I don't know what to tell you. What are your thoughts, You think it's going to become...
So I liked Quinn coming out of college. I liked Quinn watching him in Texas. But I don't think it's fair to, and it's just the being a social media has really opened because there are fans like that for years, even behind, before there was social media. I think now that there's social media, everybody, now we're getting glimpses because they did the same thing with Tua and, the left arm of God and this and that and this, and he's the second best thing since Dan Marino. I remember Ralph would say that, he's going to be, and he's like, I don't know about it, but I even saw it today. Somebody wrote, he's the best quarterback we ever had since Dan Marino. It's like, come on, dude. But I think that played a huge part in the fan discourse, in regards of the expectations for Tua, because there are a lot of people that are like, oh, Tua's going to be the greatest thing ever. We tank for Tua. And then there's other guys, Tua sucks. And it was just, they put him on this pedestal that when he was good, they threw it in your face. When they were bad, when he was bad, and I told you so, and that's like, for me, that's why I'm telling people. With Quinn Ewers, like I think fans should be excited because we're going to get to see someone new, just get a chance to see what we have in them. But temper expectations. This is a rookie. This is a 7th round pick who's never had any starting experience in the NFL. This is his first game. Don't think he's going to go in there and have some magical, if he throws 3 picks, I told you that Tua could be in there doing better than that. Stop. Like my son says now, a new thing is stop, get help, call Michael Jordan. I don't know where that came from, but that's what he says now. Stop.
That's the next 6-7. That's probably the next 6-7. Yes.
He keeps saying it. He said it at practice 3 times. He tells me all the time. I don't know what it is, but I'll say it. Let them play. Let him grow. That's why to me, it's like I'm not having really any expectations for Quinn Ewers, and I think everybody else should just relax. Let the kid play. Let's see what glimpses. What are the good things we saw from him, and what are some of the bad things that he's gonna have to work on in the offseason? To me, this is not about him being the future starter and all whatever. This is him about a chance to be on the roster next year, a chance to compete for the starting spot. Because no matter what happens in the next 3 games, unless he has some crazy run, Miami's gonna be quarterback shopping. That's just what the writing on the wall. Yes, you brought up our debates with Evan, and Evan texted me today. I think it was today, and God bless him. He's like, I'm going to collect receipts. What
Receipts
we
for
said.
what?
What we
Receipts
said.
for what? He
What
said
we
my dad will never bench him. Receipts for what?
I said,
Oh
and I said he would, right? Remember we had that discussion, but that's not about
Receipts for
cutting
what?
him or treating. And I said, I'm gonna wait till our show, but I'm gonna say it now because But there's no receipts because it wasn't about they weren't going to do it. It's they would be dumb to do it because of the cap situation. I said if anybody did it, they'd be stupid to do it because of what it's going to do to your cap. Now, like I said yesterday, because Evan obviously did not watch the show last night, I said, the more I think about this, the more it makes a little more sense that why they would do it. I still think it's stupid because if McDaniel stays there, I think they get rid of Tua. That's how I feel. I cannot see McDaniel staying or Tua staying with McDaniel. If there's another coach, if they fire Mike McDaniel, then I could see a scenario where they say, hey, stay here for at least 1 year. We want to connect. You'll have a chance to compete for the starting spot with whomever we get. Maybe a 3-way. I could see that. If McDaniel stays, I could see some sort of cut. Chris Kaufman, I think. Somebody, I'm trying to remember the name. Kaufman, he said that based off, I don't know if it's what he's hearing or what, just reading the room, with them benching him and making him an emergency quarterback. He's the 3rd string. He's not the 2nd string that they may try to trade him in the offseason. To where, how, when, whatever, I don't know. But maybe, just maybe, that is what they're looking at. Again, I think it's dumb. You could have the better backup in the league with Tua as your backup quarterback and not killing the salary.
I think I even said it on one of our post games. If they do it, they have to make a 3rd string because if he gets hurt, then basically you're taking it sideways. Eddie, before we go to the next segment at the Jets, I want to know your thoughts. Do you think Quinn Ewers is the answer for one of these things? I know you look at all the stuff during the draft season, and I was banging the table during the draft week. During that last day of the draft for him to die, not because I thought he was a great quarterback, because I thought that he was the most accomplished. At one point, he was considered to be a 1st-round pick. I don't know what happened. I'm not an expert on that, but he must have some physical tools for him to be considered a 1st-round pick at some point. What are your thoughts on Ewers, Eddie?
I liked him last year in the draft. I thought he should never lasted till the 7th round. There was guys picked ahead of him that had no business being picked ahead of him. This is just going to be a sample. Like Bobby said, this is where you find out what he does well. You cannot, if he throws a pick or does something wrong, he's not on the same page as a receiver, you have to expect that he has not taken, this is his first team snaps of the season. He didn't have any in the preseason. He runs the scout team. So there's going to be ups and downs with him no matter what. You have to be patient with him, but like Bobby said, you got to see what he can do physically. You got to see how he responds to making a mistake. And if he's got the processing skills, you can at least find that out that Tua does not have. To throw a ball away when you're running outside the pocket, not to take a sack, to actually get past the 1st down before you slide, to throw a ball away, to not throw it into double coverage. and to somebody that can see over the line. I know he's only supposedly an inch taller than Tua, but I still think Tua is shorter than 6'1". But anyways, that's what I think. I mean, you got to be patient because he hasn't. This is his first team reps ever with the Miami Dolphins, and it's going to on a short week.
Yeah, and they visit too many times about Tua hogging all the reps. So basically, I don't think he got a lot of reps during the season. So it's gonna be interesting. Of course, Zach Wilson wasn't even an option because he's not gonna be here next year. So it might be rough. It might be rough on Sunday. So before we move to the topic of the Jets, I have one more question to you, Bobby. I don't know. I think basically I mentioned it, but I wanted to come back because it's gonna be talking for a while, from now until I don't know June 1st probably. I don't know how they're gonna do it because that contract is gonna be a record-breaking cut if they do it. Like you mentioned it, basically maybe he comes back next year and he's the third string quarterback. I know Evan said he's gonna destroy the team. He does it, and George from Fins Faithful basically seems the same, that you have to get him out the door. Now they have done this. It's hard for me to believe that they can put the tools back into the toothpaste tube. I don't know if him after this can come back next season during training camp to compete for the job. I don't know, Bobby. This is hard for me, but I don't know if they cut him. You have also to cut Tyreek. So I don't know. That will be massive. What are your thoughts, Bobby?
So, in regards to what I'll just say from my point of view. So again, if Coach McDaniel stays, I do believe that we could see the scenario Evan brought up, where they cut him free, they cut him loose. Again, I think it will kill the cap, and I see DSG. I think that Bobby thinks it's his money. It's my team. It's our team. I want to have a competitive team on the field, and we're going to get butchered because we got to get rid of Tyreek. We're already in the hole. We have a terrible cap already, but again, I could see the logic of it happening if McDaniel stays. If it's another coach, yeah, if McDaniel stays, Sammy, you're right. I can't see Tua being okay, trying to compete, trying to come back, trying to do anything. He's going to want to be a clean break. He's going to want to leave. But if there's another coach in here, I can see where Tua says, okay, I'm going to try to give it a shot, earn this coach's respect, earn this coach's trust, and try to compete. Now, if it's post June 1st, if it's before June 1st, there's people smarter than me with this, but let me try to remember. If it's pre June 1st, it's a 99 dead cap, which that's butchering, that's murder, that's terrible. But if it's post June 1st, that's when you could spread it out for 2 seasons. I think it's 66 one year for the first year, and then it's 30 something the year after. Where even though it's still bad, it's still damn. It's more likely. But I wonder what a trade would look like. I wonder what the trade hit would be. Because that's the one that I saw recently where they said Miami will try, and I think I sent that to Evan. He was like, "Who traded to the CFL?" I was like, "Yeah, I know." And that's the other thing. It's going to be easier to cut him than to trade him if you're planning to get rid of him. Because the fact of the matter is, I'm going to read that in just a second. Sorry, Evan. But the fact of the matter is, there was reporting that around the league, he doesn't have a very good market because not just what he did on the field this year, but the press conferences, what you're hearing behind the scenes around the league. So what is his market going to be like? I think best case scenario for Tua is to get cut so that way he could sign cheap somewhere else and try to compete for a job. Because I don't know, whatever Miami's going to get in a trade, I don't think is going to be very good. So, yeah, man, I don't know. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow in regards of taking the cap hit. But, I think that scenario becomes more likely in regards of what Evan has brought up in the past if McDaniel stays. And I'm not ruling that out if we get a new coach. I just think it's more likely that if a new coach comes, then Tua could figure out Tua staying. Because I think the scenario plays out that if McDaniel stays and you keep Tua, then Evan's scenario of Tua being a distraction, and we'll see that playing out for the next 3 weeks. Because every time Quinn Ewers is on the field, if Quinn Ewers makes a mistake, they're going to show Tua 20 times during that game, sitting there on the bench doing whatever. But
Howling hilarious. Or laughing.
the league is going to be watching Tua too. The league watched Tua laughing on the sideline, veteran players laughing, and they were judging the hell out of him. So trust me, the league is going to be watching him. And if he's sitting there pouting on the sideline or joking on the sideline, or instead of talking to Quinn Ewers and coaching him up and whatever, the league's going to see that, and that's going to drive. If he's on the sideline and he's coaching Quinn Ewers up and actually helping him being a great teammate, that's going to look really good on Tua for the league, and that might drive up his trade interest. So it's worth watching, man. It's just something to watch.
Then we need Flores as the next coach.
Don't get me started on that. You need to do an apology to Brian Flores. Come on, Brian Flores could not be the offensive staff. You could have been Patrick Mahomes, and he would have failed Brian Flores. So
that was about his coaching staff. But he was right about it.
That's just stupid. Come on, stop it. Let's talk about a game against the Bengals. Let's see if we can make it over here. Oh, Bobby, help me out here. You're the man over here. How do you put this crap over here? Hold on. This is your platform, Bobby. Come on.
I know. Let's see what we got going on here.
See, that's what always happens, Bobby.
I see it. If I could try to figure this out, let's go ahead and shrink you. Put you over here. See what happens when you got El Jefe in the house, I guess.
Teacher tutorial. Come on. I need to stop it.
Evan's
it's supposed to be 3 over here, right?
Yeah, I got you. I'll do it. I'm gonna do a quick one right now.
Do it. You do it. While would you do that? Let's talk a little bit about the weather. You know, it's not only 6% chance of precipitation, Bobby. So almost close. See,
close enough.
It's supposed to go to the corner, right? But the next one is not going to look well because it's a little bit bigger. So it's supposed to be 3 over here. And at first, when we started the show, it happened. They were perfectly lined up in the corner. But somehow it never happened again. So I don't know.
Where is the layouts? There we go. It's so
while
weird
we do that, it's only a 6% chance.
Sammy, you're acting like Tua. You're blaming other people.
I'm not gonna use the word, and Adrian's not here, so I'm not gonna even put it in the chat. It's easy. Say his name and he appears. If you believe, I'm not gonna say his name. So you know. Actually, yes, it's being a very tough week. So I'm so glad. All the love DSG has shown me this week. I don't know. I don't know how we'll survive without you, buddy. Thank you very much for you've been too much. This game was supposed to be a night game, and now it's a 1 p.m. game. I don't know if the weather is going to be a factor because only 6% chance participation, 80s for the game. That's not bad, but the humidity, I don't think it's a factor in December. We had to wait and see. Now it's going to get interesting. Well, I'll go to the next one because now I had to do the next one, and the next one is kind of bigger. Let's go. Okay.
It's perfect.
Let's go to the injury report. The next one is bigger. The next one is bigger. A lot of DMPs, a lot of, I don't see anything great. But the Dolphins, basically Tua is the only one that you had to care about. The fact that he's there, that's the biggest news of the week. The fact that he's third string quarterback, when you say the inactives and Tua shows up in the inactives at third stringer, that's going to be rough. Eddie, do you see anything in there that, cause I don't think the Dolphins are very hurt right now. I don't think that we had any significant injury during the week.
I think Fitzpatrick's week to week, so I doubt we'll see him.
Okay.
Brooks is a big loss. If he doesn't play, when he went out them couple plays, they definitely got ate up the middle. He's their best player on defense, so that would be a huge loss, even though I know there's no playoffs anymore, but still, if you're trying to win a game, which they are, that'd be it. And why they're bringing Sanders back at all this year, I have no idea.
Yeah, kind of weird, right? It's like, I don't know if they're shopping him or something. Are they showcase him to try to trade him? That doesn't make any sense. To trade for a $3 million kicker, also, what team would do that? So that doesn't make any sense. I don't know what to say. Now, Bobby, now we're going to get interesting when we do the next graphic because here it is. Now we have the problem.
It's okay.
Oh, man, but I know what it is. So the Dolphins 25th in offense and the Bengals 23rd. and on defense, 19th for the Dolphins and 32nd for the Bengals. So, and a rumor was fired from the Bengals last year. He's now in the Colts, and they're playing very good defense, and they just suck in Cincy. I don't know. That's kind of weird. I don't. This week, Joe Burrow basically showed his frustration with the Dolphins about he not being happy there. I don't know. A lot of teams saying, the Jets should trade for him. I've seen some Dolphins fans saying the Dolphins should trade for Burrow. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but I want to talk about the game. What are your thoughts? What do you think it happens on Sunday, Eddie? Do you think the Dolphins win the game with Quinn Ewers at quarterback after that debacle in Pittsburgh?
Well, it's a good place for him to start because that's a bad defense, but you're still a rookie, so it doesn't matter. You're going to see stuff you've never seen before. It's totally different. Do they win? Absolutely not.
Absolutely. How about you, Mr. Goat? Do you think they win on Sunday?
I'll tell you what. I don't think they win. I can't see it because you still got Joe Burrow, you still got Jamar Chase. I think T. Higgins is on the injury report. We'll see if he plays. But even though they're a terrible team, their defense is bad. They still got their main attractions there. But if Miami could be reasonably healthy, and if their defense could step up and play good, I think Miami does have a chance. Again, you gotta, it's gonna be at the same mindset with Tua. Because Quinn Ewers is a rookie. You got to protect him. You can't put him in tough spots. Limit, don't be making him try to air it out and everything else. Short, quick, to the point. Run game. Ali Gordon, Jalen Wright, Devon Achane. Don't hurt him because the season's over. But still, you got to use him because the Miami wants to win. I tell you, the next 3 games are kind of a glorified preseason, but I mean that for Quinn Ewers. Anthony Weaver, I kind of like what he said because he's like, I'm not just going to play people to play people. This is not a Pee-wee league. We're going to play our best guys because we want to win.
And he wants the coaching job, and he has to play.
He does. That's the other thing. He's playing for a head coaching job. Yes. So, I'll say this? Do I think Miami, it's a for sure thing Miami's going to lose? No, I think Miami has a shot to win. Am I going to pick them to win? No, I'm not going to pick them to win. They don't have anything in their favor right now. There's going to be a lot of distractions during this game. Everyone's going to be looking at Tua. They're going to be all that. But I think there's a chance, but I'm going with Cincinnati.
For me, so many times about anyone could do as the worst quarterback in the NFL right now. Now we're going to see that on Sunday because I'm not saying that, he's not been bad, but he's a rookie. He's Quinn Ewers, a 7th round pick. A lot of people wanted him to start over Tua, to give him a chance. We're going to get that on Sunday. The game plan should, like Bobby basically said, it should not change that much because you should keep running the ball, pounding. It's not like Tua was throwing bombs to 35 yards down the field. I think maybe even Ewers can give you a better chance of long deep passes, but you have to keep doing the same thing. Control the tempo, run the ball, and see what happens. It's the second defense, worst defense in the NFL. The Steelers was supposed to be very bad, and I cannot say that. The defense was supposed to be not the best defense in the NFL, and the Steelers defense basically stopped the run, intercepted to us. So I don't know what to say. Having said that, I think it's a close game. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout by any means, but I think he's gonna go to the Bengals. So what's next after this week? That's the question, Bobby. What do you think is gonna happen after this week? What do you expect for the rest of the season, Bobby?
I don't expect much, man. Like I tell everybody right now, it's just about watching how this team performs. And especially like Evan, we've seen it, right? With Coach McDaniel. Where, Teddy Bridgewater, Skylar Thompson, whatever, the offense takes a giant step. Now, again, the offense took a giant step back with Tua in the offense this year. But the years prior, when Tua wasn't in the offense was not the same. So does the offense get better with another quarterback in here? This is McDaniel's choice. McDaniel chose Quinn Ewers over Zach Wilson. He chose Quinn Ewers in this scenario. So how is Miami's offense going to perform? How is this team going to perform with this big a change, with this adversity? Because even though most of the fans were ready for Tua to be benched, what does this do to your football team? How does your team respond? How does McDaniel coach this football game? So that's what I'm watching. I could, I don't want to say I don't care about wins and losses. Of course I do. I love winning. But I am going to be watching how McDaniel responds, because to me, what's next is McDaniel's job. That's what's next. Okay. I think you said it last night in the comments for East 10th Street Boys. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But you said it. We've seen two things done that we didn't expect to see.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Chris Greer getting fired. I don't think any of us expected that. This guy's been in season, and Tua getting benched. What was Evan was saying for a couple years now, like, we need another, he's not supportive of Tua, whatever, but he was saying Tua will be here as long as McDaniel's here. He will be the starting quarterback.
Yeah. He
will be the starting quarterback. And I said, no, they're going to end up benching. They're going to and what they benched him. They got eliminated from the playoffs, but now they benched him because you can't go back from this. McDaniel's a coach, can't come back from it. So that's what I'm going to be watching this year. I know Evan will be as well. Him not being here right now, I know I think he would agree with me that that's going to be what we're going to be watching. How McDaniel and this team handle this adversity and this major distraction that's going to come with benching Tua Tagovailoa, and how is Quinn Ewers going to respond? And I'm not putting that on Quinn Ewers. If Ewers struggles, Eddie, Sammy, I'm not really going to put that on him. This is he's a 7th round pick, but I'm going to put it on Coach McDaniel. I'm going to be looking at Coach McDaniel saying, this is your job to get the team ready. So,
and if he fails on Sunday, it should not be based on one game. He has 2 more weeks after that to basically try to prove that he's capable of to develop into a quarterback that, I don't know, maybe can back up the quarterback we get to start next year or not. He's not only competing for the starting job, he's competing for the backup job also. So it should not be decided after just one game. But what do you think?
No, I agree with you. It shouldn't be. Nobody. I don't want to see anyone saying anything about bench him, put Zach Wilson. No, we're not doing anything anymore. And the game's over at this point. Or the season's over at this point. This is now just playing to see what we have going into next season. You have, instead of 3 games in the preseason, you have 6 games. And for Quinn Ewers, that's how I see it. It's a 6-game audition for him. These 3 games, Eddie and Sammy, is to show again if he can obviously be a backup for Miami or compete for the starting job, right? Because we're all going to say, damn, man, those last 3 games or the last 2 games or whatever, man, he played really well. I'd love to see him have a shot at the starting job to compete with or be, whatever that may be. If he's terrible, then Miami says, you know what? We have a 3rd-string quarterback. We have a quarterback on the roster, but now maybe we do have to trade up and go get a guy, or maybe we do have to make a play for a veteran quarterback. That's what I'm looking at. And again, I'm at the point now. Again, I'm just watching McDaniel because he knows his job is on the line. Evan, I know Sammy invited you tonight. I saw the text message. You were invited, my man. You were invited last night too, but you slept, which is okay. I understand you, brother. But yeah, I'm seeing that. What is for dinner? I need to do that. But
Eddie, same question to you. What did you spend next in the last weeks of the season for the Dolphins?
Well, pretty much the same. I'd like to see not yours so much for this game, but I'd like to see how his teammates respond to him being the starting quarterback. Because you see other teams, when they have a backup quarterback come in, the rest of the team plays better. It never seems to happen in Miami. Every time the backup would come in, no matter who it was, the team kind of played. Well, no, not kind of played. They actually did play worse. I'd like to see what they have in yours over the next 3 weeks, to where you could at least say, hey, that's your backup quarterback next year, and you don't have to spend $7 million on 1 year for a quarterback that you really don't like, obviously, or you'd be starting him for 3 games or trying to re-sign him. There's more to that. He must not think Zach Wilson could be that guy to take another step like some of the other guys did, like Mayfield and Darnold and stuff like that. And players like that. So I just like to see how the whole team responds. Like to see if what McDaniel does for 3 weeks, McDaniels does for the next 3 weeks to try to save his butt. But I don't know. I just want to see how the players respond to yours and how he does over the next 3-week run, not just 1 week.
Bobby, you want
I'm sorry. No, I just want to say Russ had a great question, and just in regards of rookie quarterback, because he asked, with in general, look at quarterbacks drafted in the first round since 2020. How many have been benched? Have been benched? 7. Is the NFL in general failing in development of these young quarterbacks? I just want to say I think that is, because again, I guess I don't know if I'm old school or not, Eddie. That I believe that when you draft a rookie, and that's why I'm not really against. I'm kind of I am more lenient with keeping Tua even as a backup, because if we draft a rookie, I don't think it's fair to the rookie guy that we just throw him into the fire right away. I like back in the day when you drafted the guy and you let him sit a season behind a veteran so he could learn, because a lot of those guys were
Rodgers.
Yeah, I think that's better off for them. Don't bring Aaron Rodgers. Why would you, son of a, that DSG's still in there, and he's gonna start bringing up Aaron Rodgers. Like, you just had to do it, no. But but anyway, I think that's where Russ, host of On Deck Baseball and College Blitz on FTSN. I think that's a great question. I think if Miami drafted a guy and they trade Tua, there it is. I would go with the veteran. Sign a veteran, draft a rookie, and then let the vet start. At least that's what I would do.
That for sure. That's well, on the matter of not developing quarterbacks, we have Tua there. Tua because he never developed for whatever reason, the injuries or whatever. And Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is one of those Jets guys that, second overall pick, if I'm not mistaken, and he's here and he never developed. He's gonna go out the door after the Dolphins, go to somewhere else, and he didn't make it here and didn't do it with Sean Payton. I don't think he's ever gonna make it. So, Bobby, I appreciate you, and that was a last minute. This it's been hard for me, Bobby. I promised myself I would not cry, but thank you guys. I made it. Thank you, DSG, for all the love. Thank you to Nemi Sam here. She appears. Istanza, thank you. I told you if you want to join for the last segment, you could have joined, but I guess he didn't want to. So we have to talk about that this week on the Finstock, Finsports Network pregame show. Istanza should have probably had a lot to say because he's not making an appearance all week. So, Evan, I know you have a lot to say. Bobby, what you have cooking on FTSN this week?
Well, for what's today? Thursday. Okay, so Saturday, I will be on live at 3 p.m. Eastern time for the No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. If you're wrestling fans, come on Saturday, 3 p.m. here on FTSN. Josh Kimmel and myself will bring in Frankie, DJ Frankie, on the show. Yeah, he's gonna come on here. Josh reached out. We've been doing the Sinister Six. We're picking different guys, Eddie, and I know Eddie's a wrestling fan. I saw him on Facebook. Yes. One of my recommended friends on Facebook, and he was saying he was Selena Vega, and I was like, oh crap, that's really cool. But so we've been doing a Sinister Six segment where hey, okay, who are Goldberg's 6 greatest opponents? So that's what we've been doing, and in kind of greatest rivals, excuse me. But this week, I guess Sports Illustrated has released their pro wrestling awards. So we're gonna go ahead and look at those and kind of, I guess, react and maybe disagree or agree. I'm more of a classic guy, or a WWE. I was a WCW mark back in the day. Where Frankie is an AEW guy, so that should be a lot of fun. We're gonna be back and forth with that, and so we'll do that. And then Sunday we'll have I don't know if it's for sure or not, but Saturday night, I believe, we may have a special episode of Finns Talk Overtime with Evan, Brett, and Greg talking about the Tua situation and everything else. We'll see if that's confirmed. And then Sunday pregame, FTSN Finns Talk pregame. Me and Sammy, Evan will be coming in and out because he's gonna be traveling, but he should be around for post game. So there you go. That's what we got going on, at least for this weekend. That's
Saturday at 4 p.m., right?
3 p.m. 3 p.m. Eastern time.
I'll be watching from the. I'll be watching from the pool. As I've done before. Eddie, thank you very much. Bobby, you've been great. I appreciate you for joining us. Now we have to wait and see. Again, I know Evan's taking a victory lap, but he said McDaniel will never do it. So, we have a lot to talk about on the pregame show on Sunday morning. Guys, thank you very much. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, the Dolphins find a way to win on Sunday. I'll be rooting for Quinn Ewers. There's no doubt about that. So I saw the comment. I don't want any interceptions. I want the guy to throw for now. 300 yards and 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns or whatever. I just want to win. So thank you guys as always. No matter what, win or lose, at least we have each other. But Eddie,
We will always have each other.
that's cute. You're just being nice to me because
You got a bad week, so I'm sticking with you. I'm not going to say what I know.
Yeah, that's so nice. At least you have each other. Peace up.
Peace up.
Thanks for watching Fins TV. Please like and subscribe.